Well, welcome everybody to the Thrive PPC podcast. We are super excited to get started on this discussion topic today. We are going to be discussing how to hire a PPC agency in 2019. So I know that we kind of have a gun load of information that we could dive in and start talking about in regards to this topic, but really when you're vetting and choosing your PPC agency, it's important to kind of note down some key things in order to find, who's going to be the best fit for you as a client and entrusting your paid search strategy to someone. So we have a couple of our specialists on the call today, and our PPC manager, Jacob Wulff, and Lauren Holland. I know we have a couple things that we wanted to talk about today, but really the first thing we wanted to touch base on was really transparency and partnership and what that should look like when you're choosing your PPC agency.
I think transparency is probably one of the most important things that you're going to need to look for in an agency, because you're hiring this group of people that specialize in something specific to do what they do, but on behalf of your product. So you're giving them an allowed ad budget, maybe depending on how they set it up, a number of hours to use. You're working with them on the strategy. So what products and services are most important, geography, all of that stuff really belongs to the advertiser, even though you're getting an agency's help and making the campaign go live and optimizing and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
So if they're not transparent, right, about what they're doing with that every day, and they're just kind of disappearing and then sending you a report in an email without the detail that you need based on the strategy that you guys have already gone over, then that's not very advantageous to you. It doesn't really tell you what's going on, what they're spending their time doing. You should be able to jump in the AdWords campaign or the Google Ads campaign and say, oh, these keywords are good. Oh, I don't want to do that anymore. We're having seasonality issues over there. And in that, you're really becoming a partner with that agency. So they're doing what they know how to do best based on a bunch of experience on behalf of your business. So you should really be allowed to have transparency and be involved in that process.
Yeah, and we've definitely all been in the digital marketing world to see that, unfortunately, there's a lot of agencies out there that'll, kind of just hit go and then not give you any true feedback or become a true good partner for you as the client. So I think it's important to note some of those things that you're working with. Obviously, an agency that's transparent, not just giving you kind of numbers that you want to hear every month, and really developing a solid digital marketing strategy for your business.
Yeah, and I think advertisers are smart. They see ads on the internet and they use the internet. So I think the whole industry is past the point of being able to send, here's my budget, make some ads, go out there, and I'll get a report in 30 days. I think the whole industry is way past that. It's more of a strategic move at this point, a partnership, I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really, really good. And like I said, I know we've all been kind of on the other side of the coin before, where we've either worked for agencies or been a part of agencies that don't really value that, just transparency and being a good partner for our client, making sure that we're doing everything that we can from our end to provide, quality and just a good, transparent partnership with our clients. I know along with that, obviously there's certain expectations and goals that, clients should have for an agency. And I know, Jake, you had a few things that you wanted to touch in on that, just going over, what some expectations should be when clients are going out and they're looking to find a, agency that's going to be the right fit for them.
Thanks, Matt. So goals and expectations, that's very important from the get-go. You want to make sure that you're setting those clear expectations and goals from the very beginning. The moment you contact that agency, you got to have a clear understanding of, why you're doing PPC, right? We don't, want to just be shooting in the dark and say, oh, I want to get clicks to my website, or I just want to get traffic, or I want to sell a few things. So you want to make sure that the agency that you're working with has a firm grasp on, these goals and these expectations the moment the relationship begins. So what does that look like? I mean, that can be, I want to have X number of sales by this time next month, or within the first 6 months, I want to increase my goals or my conversions or my sales or my business leads by this percentage. So you definitely want to make sure that that goal and that expectation is in line with, what the agency has in mind when you start that relationship.
Right.
Setting these expectations, being clear on your marketing goals from the beginning will definitely go a long way with both your business and your agency, and keeping a pulse on the progress, the performance, and just being able to correct course when needed. You definitely can't score if you don't have a goal. So that's very important. Make sure that you set those expectations and those goals the moment you reach out to the agency, so they have a clear expectation of what they're aiming for.
What are some, if you guys had to boil it down, things that clients should be looking for when they're kind of vetting apples to apples between agencies? What makes them distinguishable with their strategy, or what are some things that is really going to be a clear cut to show if the agency is, providing quality, or if they ultimately know what they're talking about when they're developing a PPC strategy?
I think strategy and optimization are two words that are kind of thrown around. And so if you maybe hear an agency that you're thinking about partnering with, say, digital advertising is really strategic. That doesn't make as much sense as talking through with your potential agency and say, what would your strategy be? So every single advertiser, maybe a search campaign doesn't work for everybody. Maybe you need video or local service ads or remarketing or something different. So a strategy should be something specific that you're doing for that advertiser. Same thing with industries. Hotels could not be more different than selling like ladies' shoes or something like that. The strategy needs to be different. And in markets too, Texas couldn't be more different than like the West Coast. The costs are going to be different. The demographics are different. So there's a whole set of things that your agency needs to be looking at before they recommend a budget or a strategy, a start date, a list of keywords or any of that. Because one of the things we have when we use Google Ads or Bing Ads or Amazon is all of this wonderful, wonderful data. And so we need to be using that instead of setting it and forgetting it, and that's being strategic. Same thing with optimization. Those keywords that you guys talk about at the beginning of a strategy call, at the beginning of a campaign setup, those are going to change. The bids are going to change, the match types are going to change, all of that good stuff. So the strategy needs to be set up, but then it needs to be ongoing. You need to keep it going with optimization too, and just be involved in the process as well. Going back to
those some really good points. I definitely agree with those, Lawrence. And the thing that I wanted to add to that is, you definitely want to ask how the agency can, help you further develop your PPC strategy, or maybe you need help with creating one from scratch. So, good points. You definitely want to ask what tactics and management tools they'll use. I know that's something that, I get asked from time to time. I know you guys have been asked that question. What are you guys going to do to my account? What tools are you using to monitor the performance of my account? You also want to ask, does the agency expect you to contribute in any way to the account? Here at Thrive, we do have some things we need to get started. We need to have access to a Search Console, Google Analytics. We do need to have the CID so we can have the ads access. We may need admin access to WordPress so we can get into the back end and help further develop landing pages. Also, if you have a current PPC account, or if you've had one in the past, be willing to let the agency take a look at or audit that account to see what changes we would recommend and how we would approach, or how your agency would approach improvements moving forward, or how we would maintain the previous performance that you've seen in the past. So those are all very important as well. And then also have an idea whether you agree to let the agency take over your current account. So sometimes, the account's running well and you just want to maintain and build on what you've already established. Or sometimes, you may want to just create one from scratch and just use the data from the other account to, start anew. So just kind of have those in mind, and definitely make sure strategy is first and foremost one of the things out of the gate that you're definitely nailing down. So
really make sure that we understand your, business initiatives and what your unique goals are before even starting a strategy, right? Or making optimization suggestions. Lauren, I thought you brought up a really good point with talking about, understanding the historical data and looking at trends before trying to come up with a solid concrete strategy, is where a lot of agencies that you'll find, they'll already start kind of hand feeding you the strategy without, giving you kind of detail on really trying to understand your business and your goals. And what you're trying to achieve with PPC, and getting some of those specifics tailored down prior to you even, kind of just throwing out there what the campaign type should be, or, what types of keywords you should be bidding on, and what modifiers you should be using, and a lot of things that are, a little bit further down the line, whereas it should be more preliminary for you to try and understand, are they understanding what my business goals are? Are they trying to listen to me first before offering any tips and strategy and, optimization techniques? And I think along with that, one of the things you have to look for, Lauren, I saw that you put down here, is just experience, right? Looking agency to agency, seeing, what different agencies can offer, and maybe what that specialist you're going to be paired up with, what, they have in the background. Maybe they've worked in your industry before, they haven't, but I think it's important to understand, does that particular PPC agency have any specialties or niches that, they're a little bit more knowledgeable on?
Yeah, experience is super important. And the reason I was even thinking about that as we were talking about agencies is that sometimes when I do audits or talk to a potential client about Thrive, they ask me that all the time, and it'll kind of come from a place a lot of times like, well, I've been trying to run this ad. It's for a hotel maybe, but it keeps getting disapproved and I don't understand why. And then they'll ask, do you guys ever run ads for hotels? Is it even allowed on Google Ads? Why can't I run it? So with experience, I'll be able to look at that and identify what's wrong in their ad copy. Well, you can't say you're the best hotel. You have to word it this way. This is what you should do. And yes, we've definitely run a whole ton of ads for hotels. And we kind of organize ourselves that way. So I have a lot of healthcare clients, and that's a wide range. It can be like an urgent care center, or maybe somebody selling supplements, could be a whole hospital. And so we kind of have people within our agency that have specialties. Someone else might run a lot of legal ads, something like that. And that just gets us, so we can be the best at what we do, is kind of keeping the same industry like that. So you're partnered with an agent or with a specialist in the agency because that they know what they're doing with that industry.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. And with that, I think, going off of case studies, that obviously dives us into another topic, huge discussion of reporting, where you can get a variety of different things from agencies now that are either shallow reports or, clean cut good reports. So I know, Jake, you had some good bullet points on that. What do you really look for? If you were the client, what would you be looking for in, agency giving you kind of qualified reporting, and how would you kind of compare agency to agency with the type of reports that they may give you?
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously important to identify what kind of reporting the agency will provide, and also have in mind how often you expect these reports and updates, to come from your specialist. Do you want a monthly report? Is that something that you're interested in having? Do you want to have a biweekly update from your specialist, just kind of a quick glance at some of the metrics that they're seeing? Or do you want to have recurring meetings with your specialist, maybe once a week, every 2 weeks, once a month, to kind of go over the results and share the strategy on screen share? Here at Thrive, we have a mix of different types of clients. We have the clients that are fine with just a monthly report, and that's all they need, and they trust that you have the accounting control, and they're happy just seeing the month-over-month metrics. Whereas you may have a different client that wants to have the biweekly meetings or even the weekly check-ins, as well as a mid-month performance report and a monthly report. So we definitely make it a point to send a monthly report in addition to a mid-month report here at Thrive. We think that works pretty well for most of our clients, but we do have those exceptions to where a client has a special request on what they want to see. You also want to make sure you're asking what metrics the agency would measure, and how does that answer align with your company's marketing objectives and goals? So are they reporting on something that's completely irrelevant to what your business offers? Is CTR important to you? Do you even know what CTR means? Is CPC important to you? Or are you just looking to see, how many leads we drove this month compared to last month, and at what cost? Will they measure the results all the way through from the initial click to the conversion? Do they have a different type of attribution model? So those are all important questions to ask. And it's also a good idea to ask these questions in addition to asking to see examples of the dashboard and the reports that they'll be producing,
Right.
Whether it's just an email summary or it's a more comprehensive PDF document, or sometimes a video report is something that a client may have expectations to get. So it's a good idea to know what to expect as you begin your working relationship, and make sure your expectations, going back to that first point, align with what the agency plans to produce for you.
Jake, you mentioned that we can jump on a call and go over the reporting, because I know in Google Ads in particular, CTR and CPC and conversion rate, they're all calculated differently. There's a whole bunch of acronyms for everything. So I know what I like to do is, after we send the month report, give everyone a chance to look it over. And a lot of times, like, every single one of those metrics, they can be important to the campaign, but the advertiser might not know what every single one of them means and what their significance is. So we just like to jump on a call just like this and go over it together. And then, there's an opportunity for questions and explanations, that kind of thing too.
Yeah, Jake, and I thought you brought up a variety of good points, just going over, let me see examples of those reports prior to us signing on, and making sure that, again, you're comparing between the agencies that you're looking at to see, what types of metrics are they showcasing right off the bat that they want to show you. Do they include a video report with the report? Do they include, any additional items alongside that report? And I think most of the time you'll be able to tell, which agencies are providing you with, very less tailored high-level reporting versus agencies that are providing you with, really solid, concrete reporting metrics, and the ones that are going to be, really trying to convey to you or show you the metrics that you want to see. And I guess to kind of go alongside that, as we're talking about interviewing agencies, is one of the things I wanted to touch on was understanding, how agencies their billing cycles, what it looks like, what their pricing looks like. I know that there's a variety of different ways that PPC agencies charge clients. Some have a monthly retainer fee. Some take percentage of spend. Others, like here we do at Thrive, we do a bunch of different things, kind of a combination, but an hourly rate that they charge by. And I think it's important to understand, when you're going in and vetting for a PPC agency, are they taking a percentage of your spend, and what is that percentage, and how is that going to impact the performance of the campaigns that you may be running? So commission and pricing is obviously something that, is going to be upfront. You're going to want to know, obviously, what the agency is going to be charging. But I think comparing agency to agency to see, what type of model is even going to best assist you, and that you want to, reward the agency with as the client, and what you're willing to be able to pay in order to see the results that they may give you. So kind of looking at that and saying, what are the different pricing models between each agency?
Definitely make sure you know how the agency is getting their fee, because they will be getting a fee somehow. So if they tell you, I can run these ads for you, let's do about $10,000 a month. Well, make sure you know if it's a commission model, or if you're paying on top of that, and they're going to send you a separate invoice. Because if they're telling you $2,000 a month, and it is a commission model, then your ad spend is only $8,000, $9,000, depending on what their commission is. So that's super important to know. And your ad budget is going to make a huge difference in your campaign performance. So you're going to have to know that for sure. Also, minimum spends. If there's an agency that tells you, if you want us to be your agency and you like us, you have to spend $25,000 a month. Well, if you have a local service ad and maybe you're not in a huge city or something like that, you don't need to spend $25,000 a month, because there's not that much search volume out there. There's not that much inventory for contextually relevant YouTube ads. So something like that might be fishy. If you think that's way too much or way more than anybody else has recommended that you spend, they're probably not the best fit for you as well.
And also to add to that, I think you kind of covered it a little bit, but it's also really important to take a look at the commission pricing structure for your management fees, because that definitely plays a big role in your, your spend, your ROI. You want to make sure that you're taking account not just that $10, cost per acquisition or that CPC, but you're also taking into effect to account the management fee. How much are you spending total for the management fee, as well as your budget, and definitely, making that account for your total overall spend and CPA.
Yeah, how those things benefit each other, right? How does the pricing model affect my overall SEM strategy? So I think these are all really good things, you guys. Lauren and Jake, thanks for hopping on today. I know we covered a lot, everything from transparency between agencies, expectation and goals, looking at, strategy and optimization, experience of specialists or team members that any given agency may have, reporting and also pricing. So I think these are some really good practical steps that, you know, clients can be taking when they're looking into finding who their PPC agency is going to be in 2019. As the industry grows and the you know, more and more agencies start to pop up, I think it's going to be that much more crucial for clients to really, you know, not just kind of jump the gun with you know, what they think is going to be a great agency without asking some of these really important and instrumental questions. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to get more of our content, as we're going to be talking about a lot of a variety of topics throughout the year, going over any and everything PPC. So thank you guys for hopping on, and be sure to leave comments below, as we'd love to answer any of those questions that you may have. So thank you guys so much for hopping on.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Matt.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.